Okay, so we are back and we are still farming for thin jellies for the bee mount. I am way behind everybody else considering it is patch 8.3 and I'm still working on the bee mount. But to be fair, I literally just got BFA flying like 2 days ago. It took me forever as a casual player to get flying. So that has really been what I've been waiting on in order to start doing the bee mount, because without flying it's just such a pain in the butt to try and get all of the jellies that you need, because a lot of the places that they are at are not accessible to ground mounts. So, and I'm really just farming this upper area of Stormsong Valley here because there's so few mobs here, and this toon of mine is not very well geared. She basically just reached 120, and I really haven't made a lot of effort to gear her up. Mostly because I've been trying to gear my main, which is a Shadow Priest, and she is the love of my life, but so I've been gearing her like crazy, at least as much as I possibly can when you're a casual player. But so this one is just kind of, I really only use her for farming, and I really haven't played a druid very much in the past. I always wanted one because I thought it was cool that you could be all three different roles, whether you wanted to heal, DPS, or tank. You could do that all with one toon, and I always thought that was so cool because they're really, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that there's, maybe other than Paladin, there's not a lot of other toons or classes that you can be that are able to do that, and so I just always thought it was so cool. Plus the whole, never having to dismount off your mount to do things. Excuse me, it's still very early. I'm still waking up. But I just always thought that was so cool that you could just do your thing and heal yourself and DPS and tank and not have to get off your mount. I just always thought that was like the perfect gathering toon. So I leveled one. I haven't put a whole lot of effort into gearing her up, and just decided that I would try and use her to finish up this whole jelly business rather than trying to do it on my main, because I just felt like of the time that I have to spend on WoW, I would prefer to save as much as possible, and even if that includes not having to mount and dismount, I will take it. Like, if I can get that and not have to deal with that, I'm gonna go there. But it is a lovely Thursday morning, and I am enjoying just how beautiful it is out here in WoW. It's a wonderfully beautiful day. I'm ready for some tea, although I haven't made any, but tea sounds really good right now. I actually need to go to the store today. I've been putting it off, mostly because it's been snowing here, and I hate going out in the cold weather. I'm such a big baby. The cold weather is like death to me. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. I want to be nice and warm. and cozy in my blankets. Just chilling and playing WoW rather than going out in the 10-degree weather to go grab milk and eggs. So, but today I have to do it. I have to go. I've been putting it off for like 4 days. So I'm at the point now where it's now or never. So can't keep procrastinating forever. You know what I think is so weird is that they have these little like jelly deposits on trees. Like I didn't understand that at first, and I guess it kind of looks like a hive. I don't know, that's weird. You'd think they make everything else pretty realistic. You'd think they would make it look like an actual hive. Excuse me. I don't know what exactly this is supposed to look like. I mean, let's scoot up here. Get my big bird butt out of the way here. But yeah, I just think that looks so weird. I don't know what that's supposed to realistically look like. I love bees, and I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but they're so freaking cute. Like, I own a house with some land, not like land, but like enough of a backyard that I would potentially want to put something out there to help bees like grow or create a colony. And I even at one point thought about having bees and harvesting honey like myself, but I don't know, I struggle with the idea of having a bee farm because bees are very fragile, and there's, from what I've read, a lot of diseases that they can get, especially from like other forms of bees bringing it into their hive, or like parasites that they can get, or they can get sick from eating pollen from plants that have been treated with like pesticides or chemicals. And I don't use pesticides or chemicals in my yard, but I can't control what my neighbors do, so I'm a little worried about that. Like, if I had a bee like hive, I would feel like they were my pets. Like, that's how I would feel about it. And so I feel like I would have a responsibility to keep them alive and healthy and happy, and I just don't feel like I know enough about caring for them. Oh, excuse me. I don't feel like I know enough about caring for them to be ready to start that adventure. And I'm the kind of person that I try all kinds of new things all the time. So I've had like a million hobbies in my lifetime. And when I start a hobby, I usually try and learn as much as possible about it so that I'm good at what I do when I start a new hobby. And so I have not invested the time, other than like joining a few Facebook groups about bee, owners and farming and stuff like that. But the other thing that concerns me is, do I have to do something with the honey that they produce? Like, eventually it'll get to a point where they produce enough honey that they'll need more than just the hive that I have. And then I'll have to keep expanding, but like, I don't have plans to harvest the honey, really. And I think, at least for me, one of the main things I learned was when you have bees and you harvest the honey, you can't harvest all of it and usually you harvest in the fall or close to the winter And you can't harvest all of it because the bees need that for them to survive throughout the winter. Like that's what they eat throughout the winter, is the food stores that they've created for their own colony. And I think maybe I just got a little freaked out because I joined several, I guess, beekeeping groups is what you would call them on Facebook, and I hear or I see a lot of like horror stories on there about how people have lost their hives and stuff, and for various reasons, and there's lots of predators out there for honeybees, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like I would cry if I lost a whole hive of bees, and I've seen so many stories of people getting on Facebook and saying, oh, this happened in my hive and I lost all of them, and I think I would bawl my eyes out if I came out one day and all my bees were dead. Like, I would just feel so bad and so guilty. And I would literally feel like I just killed a million animals. Like, I don't think I could mentally handle it just because they're so cute. Like, I know so many people don't like bees or they're terrified of bees, but I'll tell you right now, there are several kinds of bees, and honeybees are very different from things like yellow jackets. Like yellow jackets they are about the same size as honeybees, but they don't have like the furry abdomen and stuff. They're not furry. I feel like they're much more brightly colored, and they have a pretty prominent stinger. And I've been stung once in my life, and it was relatively recently, like within the past couple years. And I'm in my 30s, so I've gone a very long time in my life without ever being stung. And it was by a yellow jacket, and it was very painful. And like the way that it happened was that in my backyard I have a compost pile, and the bees decided that since the earth was really soft there, that they would dig out a hole in the ground to build their little nest. Like they don't have hives like honeybees because they don't collect pollen, at least as far as I know. Like they don't have traditional hives like honeybees do. And so literally, I think I was working in my compost pile one day, and maybe I stepped near the entry of the underground nest. I don't even remember exactly what happened, but I just remember a couple bees came out, and I was like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. And so I left the area, and one of them followed me. Like I moved probably at least 30 feet away. Like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get away from this area for a little bit, I'll come back later. And one of the yellow jackets followed me, and at the time I didn't really know the difference between the different kinds of bees, and so I was like, oh, what a cute little bee. And it was crawling around on my hand, and my hand, I had a glove on it, and I could see that its little like tail area was moving up and down while it was on my glove. And at that time, like, I hadn't had any interaction with bees, so I didn't know what it was doing, like if that was a normal behavior, but it at that point wasn't getting its stinger through my gloves because they were pretty thick gloves. And so I was just looking at the bee and, in awe, thinking it was so cute. All the while it's getting ready, or it's actively trying to sting me, and finally it finds a point in my glove where it's making contact with my skin, and so finally the stinger made it through the glove to me, and obviously, my hand goes flying because it hurts, and was not expecting that. And then the bee obviously dies because the stinger got detached. And, that was my first real interaction with being stung. And so after that, I was like, okay, maybe I should do a little bit of research to figure out what the different kinds of bees are, just because I was pretty naive to what they were. And so after finding out that yellow jackets are just aggressive jerks, I decided that, and they actually prey on honeybees. I didn't know that before, but they will infiltrate honeybee hives and actually kill the honeybees to, I guess, try and take over the hive and the food. I'm not sure their reasoning. I don't even pretend to know what bees are thinking, but yeah, they're jerks. And so when I found that I had that huge nest in my compost pile and I found out that all they do is prey on other bees, I was like, no, you guys are out of here. They prey on other bees, they're super aggressive, and they are really just, they serve no purpose. As far as I know, they don't do really many beneficial things, and they're actually detrimental to other bees. So I don't feel super bad about getting rid of a hive of super aggressive bees that hurt other bees. So I actually had my neighbor do it because normally I wouldn't have an issue doing something like that, but I was talking to my neighbor about it, and she was telling me that her husband has this miraculous ability to never get stung, and I was like, well, then I have the job for you. And so yeah, he was so nice to offer to do it for me because I live by myself, so I was like, all right, well, it's either me or nobody. So he was very generous in offering to help, so I took him up on that. But yeah, so he just got, I don't know what he used exactly to get rid of them, but got rid of them, saved any other honeybees that might have been around in the area. And I would totally put in a, what are they called? Like, you can put out something that bees can use to actually start their own hive in your area. Like, I feel like in my area, I don't see a lot of bees just out and about pollinating. And I live in the city, so, and I always hear about bees and how they are dwindling in numbers, so I always feel like I want to help and I want to do something, but I also did research where my yard is like just like 5 feet too small to actually have a hive in it. You have to have a certain level of clearance between your house and your neighbor's property so that, you know, having a beehive doesn't obviously put anybody else in danger. So, and with how many people have bee allergies, it's completely understandable that they have regulations on how close you can have a hive to other people's property and your neighbors and all that jazz. So, woo, we've been talking about bees for a long time now. I can't help it. I really like bees, and I feel bad that they have gotten, they're kind of lumped into all other bees and wasps and crazy stuff like that, but like, if you think about it though, if we kill off all the bees or just don't do something to ensure their survival, we have so many crops that rely on bees to survive. Like, literally, there are farmers that will contract with, like, okay, when I say farmers, I mean like agricultural farmers who will contract with bee farmers to bring in a whole bunch of bees in order to pollinate all of their, let's say you have an orchard. So an orchard farmer would get into contact with a bee farmer and basically say, hey, I want to buy, you know, your services to bring bees to my place to pollinate all my trees. And so the bee farmer, I'm sure they all do it differently, but they would basically transport a number of bees to that farmer's area to pollinate the plants as necessary so that we can have fruits and vegetables. Like, pretty much a majority of our crops require pollination, and the main contributors to pollination are bees. So it's pretty important that we actually make sure they survive, because without them, we are going to have a lot less food, unless we all feel like pitching in and pollinating plants ourselves, which is going to make food skyrocket in price. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that's why bees are important. So, just in case you didn't know, thought I'd share a little bit of information about that. I don't know about you guys. I cannot stop yawning. It's still very early. It's about 6:30 a.m. for me. And I have been up for a while because I, for some reason, woke up this morning and couldn't fall back asleep. So I decided to jump on WoW and just fart around and hopefully work on my bee mount because I saw it a few months ago when I logged in for the first time after a 2-year hiatus, and I saw somebody in Storm 1 with the bee mount and I just died and I really wanted it. So I decided that it would be, excuse me, I decided it would be the first thing that I would work on as soon as I got flying. So I got flying a couple days ago and I am almost done with getting all of the jellies that I need for the mount. I already did the whole Bumbles quest to get the bee, the 7-day daily that you do. So I've got my little Bumble buddy, which is a prerequisite for even doing this part. So obviously I have one of the bees that you need. I think there's another one you can buy on the auction house if it comes down to it, or there's another way you can get it. I don't remember how it is because I don't have that one and I didn't go get it. So, like I said, I'm just a casual player. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a guidebook. I'm actually even pretty terrible at following the lore and the story behind this game. I feel terrible because I know that's a huge part of the game and a big reason why a lot of people love this game. But I just, with the amount of time that I have to play this game, I feel like I don't have the time to invest in reading all the lore or keeping up with it. So I do what I can and that's what happens. I look up the things that I need to understand how to do. I'm happy to help other people if I know how to do something, but I feel like there's so much to do in WoW that it is, unless this is like a majority of your life, it is impossible to know how to do everything in WoW. Like that's why there are online guides to help you, is because there is just no one person that is going to know everything in WoW. There's just too much. It's too much to do. Half the time I can't remember even how to get somewhere, so I have to look that up, and that's interesting. Especially since with this patch, not this patch necessarily, but with this new expansion, you know, every expansion I feel like they move portals and different ways to get to places, so it's like you have to relearn how to get to places every time they make a new expansion. And I'm sure even with like large patches, I'm sure sometimes they change things around so that you can get places or they implement new places. So it's just a constant learning process, it feels like. So I don't feel like I'll ever be at a point where I'm like, I know everything in WoW. Like, I'm so far away from that that I would never claim to be a WoW guru of any sort. I simply just love playing the game, so that's what I do. And I think maybe at some point I'll try to build a community of active players, because I think I've stuck it out with this guild that's been inactive for so long that I can walk away and say that I made a good effort. I really miss playing with my guildies, but nobody else is online except for like one other person, and he barely talks to me. So I feel like maybe it's time to move on. But we'll see. I would love to create a community of people that are like me, where we're all just, you know, casual players. Nobody's like, oh, I'm Mr. Know-It-All, and oh, I can't believe you don't know everything about WoW. Like, I feel like people who are elitist like that, just, it's such a turnoff for me. Like, I don't necessarily want to be with somebody that expects you to know everything about WoW, or, you know, spend time with people that shame you for not knowing everything. Like, I'm just not that kind of a player. I enjoy the game and I love it, but I'm not obsessed with it to the point that I know everything about the game. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing by any means. I'm just saying with my limited time, I do not have the ability to know everything about WoW. And I think at this point, I think a lot of people that started with WoW are probably at the point where they are a casual player. You know, back when I was in college and I was a student, I could get away with coming home after my classes are done and turning on WoW and just, you know, quote unquote, doing homework while not actually doing homework but playing WoW. And it's been several years since I've been in college, so I can't get away with that anymore. And now that I have a real life job, like, I have to go to work, I have to make a living, I obviously can't play WoW at work. So, and I feel like a lot of people are probably in a similar situation to me. I don't know that WoW has gained a lot of new players. Maybe they have. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't looked into it at all. But I just feel like there's so much other competition in terms of games now that I think WoW has probably lost a lot of subscribers to other games, and I just don't feel like I hear any younger people talking about it or playing it. You know, back when I was playing it in college, which was probably sometime between 2006 and 2010, I feel like I was consistently running into new players who were quite young. And I don't, well, number one, you don't run into anybody now because nobody is in the chats. But I'd be really curious to see what the age distribution would be across WoW players. Just because I feel like the people that started playing WoW several years ago have stuck with it and matured to whatever age they are now, and I feel like the age base of the players has gone up over time. Just because I think the majority of people are like me, where we played it for a long time and we've just kind of stuck with it. I don't know if I really see a lot of people starting WoW for the first time, like ever, right now, because first of all, if they are, that's awesome. But at this point, I feel like there's so much content to play, and you're playing it probably majorly by yourself because so many people have, you know, years ahead of you in terms of leveling other tunes and just having max level characters that I don't know if I could start WoW from ground zero at this point. When I started WoW, I started it because a guy that I was dating played it, and it was unlike anything I'd ever played before. I was very big into PlayStation games and RPGs, and we got to talking, and he was like, I think you'd really like this game. And, you know, at that point, I had heard about it, and I'd never played it. And the only thing I'd even heard about it was that, you know, you always hear the crazy stories about people who forget to eat or go to the bathroom or, you know, whatever. You always hear these extreme stories about people that just can't control themselves, I guess, just in general, because they're so obsessed with playing the game. And so when he told me he played, I was like, oh my God, what is he getting me into? Like, what? I was like, I was a little hesitant at first, and I was like, I don't know. But he let me play his game, like one of his tunes, and, you know, I got into the world, and they give you no instructions when you start, so you're just kind of like, okay. I mean, now I started Classic recently just to be reminded of what it was like, and I feel like they do give you some information when you start, but literally it's so minimal that any new player who's starting on their own without any help would be at a huge disadvantage to not at least being in a guild where other people can give you points and hints, because there's so much to this game. You can have add-ons that help you with stuff, you can have guildmates tell you what you're supposed to be doing. Like, there's nothing that tells you that you should be doing raids or dungeons or anything like this. And back in Classic, you had to do it all manually, which means you need to find a group of people to do it with. And I just feel like as a new person, the game could be very frustrating unless you have a good group of guildies to tell you kind of what you should be doing or help you figure out what you should be doing. When I first started, I think if I hadn't had a boyfriend who was playing, I think I probably would have just really not enjoyed the game as much as I did, because I would not have known about a whole lot of the functionalities or the features, or even just having somebody to level with is such a huge advantage. Because there are some times when you are leveling and it just goes so slowly by yourself, and it's just nice to have other people to level with. I think if I were to go back to Classic, and I have been kind of avoiding it because I like all the new features of WoW, and I like all of the things that have made it easier to do things. So I have put off doing Classic, other than I think I started leveling a tune that was, I think maybe she's level 5. Maybe. But I don't like the idea of starting over with nothing, especially when I have so much stuff that I've built up over so many years of playing WoW on my main characters on the retail version, that it's just like, I don't want to throw all that away and start over. It's so hard. But I hear that so many people love it, and it's very active. And I'm sure Goldshire is just packed with people. I know that when I was playing it for like the couple hours that I played it, Goldshire was in fact full of people who were just doing hilarious stuff. And that's awesome. And maybe if I need to have my fill of like socialness, maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll just hop on Classic, say hi, make some new friends, because I feel like Classic, obviously you have to be more social because it requires you to find people to group up with versus just looking for group. But I just don't like the idea of starting over. Oh, but I think I will work on it, maybe at least a little bit every week. I think just to fulfill my social needs, that would probably be a good place to start. Unless I can find a good guild on retail that I really like. But so far, no dice. And plus, just the general, like, trade chat and everything else is just kind of dead in the live or the retail version right now, so I don't know. Honestly, I don't even remember what server I started my WoW Tunon. Or my Classic Tunon. I think I started on a particular server because my only other guildmate that plays on retail told me that him and his family play on that server. So I was like, okay, well, if I play on this server, at least I'll know somebody. And I think that's why I started it. I don't even remember which server I started on. I haven't touched her since the first day I started her, and I'm pretty sure I started a priest. I think. I really should have chosen a different tune because leveling priests take forever. But we will see. I don't know. I'm so ready to have this bee mount. Feel like I've been farming jellies forever, but it's really only been like a couple days. Only a couple days, but it's so close. Let's see how close we are. I tried turning some in earlier, and the vendor was not being very cooperative. She was not working with me when I wanted to exchange my jellies. So maybe she's changed her attitude. There we go. Looks like it's working much better now. Okay. Hopefully this works. 87. Where are we at? Okay. Oh, finally. I did it, you guys! What's happening? I didn't look any of this up, so I'm not sure what's supposed to be happening. Oh my god, it's so... Wait. I have to do this again? Oh my goodness, you guys. What is happening? How many times do I have to do this? Oh my gosh, I have to do this all over again to get the actual amount. Oh my god! Okay. Super cool times. Awesome. Oh, I can't sell anything here. I forget about that. Cool. So I was, for some reason, under the impression that I would actually get a bee mount after I farmed all of those jellies, but looks like I am not there yet. So the hunt continues. But that's cool. So I wonder, and I'm not looking it up yet because I feel like if I look it up, then I'll be discouraged by how much you have to actually do. So I feel like if I just do it step by step, I won't be as discouraged when I actually finish it. Because my big fear is that I'm gonna look online and I'm gonna find out that you need to have like 20,000 jellies, and then I'm just gonna be like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, grinding is something that I don't mind doing, but I need to switch it up with other activities so that I don't lose my mind. So I'm gonna take a break for now, and we will reconvene on the jelly harvesting after I do something different for a little while so I don't lose my mind. I hope you guys enjoyed me keeping you company while you play WoW. And if you did, just give me a like so that I know you're enjoying the content. And it'll give me a little bit of a boost to keep going. And if you ever want to find me, I'm on Greymane server. My main's name is Bread Heals, and that's Heals. It's very deceptive name because I don't do any healing. Let's just get that straight. I don't do any healing. So But anyways, if you feel like being social and you find one of my videos and you want to say hi or just chill and hang out, I totally enjoy grouping up with people just to chat if that's what you want to do. So give me a shout. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy WoW and happy hunting.